Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Alyssa. Today we are doing a video that is all about my best small kitchen organization ideas. So if you don't already know, first of all, I live in New York City, which means small kitchens. And second of all, I just moved into a new apartment about a month ago, and I have had to completely organize a new kitchen. So I thought I would kind of bring you guys along with the process and share some of the tips that I've gathered along the way in case you also have a small kitchen and you're looking to potentially reorganize it, or you feel like you're not maximizing the space correctly. So I did actually partner with an organizing company to help me with my kitchen. And if you do have the option to do that, I think it is a really great idea. The company that I worked with is called Orderly. They serve a bunch of different states, including the tri-state area. And I actually also worked with them in my last apartment a couple of years ago, organizing my pantry. So we worked together again, moving into this space and kind of thinking about organizing it. They're really good at figuring out the right containers to buy and kind of how to lay out a space. So I personally found it really helpful, but I also wanted to take what I learned from them and share it with all of you in case you're interested in doing the same process on your own, or if you want to kind of get started and then maybe you want to work with somebody like Orderly. So before we dive in, if you are interested in learning more about Orderly, I will put their contact information down below and you can reach out to them. So let's talk about how to organize your small kitchen. So I currently have a kind of U-shaped kitchen, and I actually have a fair amount of cabinet space. I don't have a pantry, and I do have a few really deep cabinets. So there were a few things that we did specifically for this space that I think will be really helpful in case you have a similar space. And I have 12 different small kitchen organization ideas that I am going to just run through as quickly as possible. So let's get started. Small kitchen organization tip number one is to use shelf risers. And shelf risers are really great for things like mugs and plates and bowls. So we're actually using them in two places right now in our kitchen. And what they're really good at is kind of separating the space so that you can have two shelves in one. So we're using them for our mugs, and we're also using them for our plates. We have our dinner plates and our salad plates basically on top of each other, but it just makes them easier to grab because they're stacked on a separate shelf instead of being stacked on each other. So that is tip number one. Tip number two is to think about stacking your pans sideways. I've never, ever dreamed or even thought of doing this, but Jamie from Orderly installed, well, she just kind of purchased these like racks basically for your pans, and they save so much space. So I'm using them in two places in our kitchen right now. We are using them for our pans, so our like saute pans, and then we're also using them for our baking pans. So things like brownie pans, casserole dishes, muffin tins, and things like that. And what's great is that you're stacking them side by side, but they also have dividers so they stand up straight. And I think that this saves so much space, and it also just saves like a lot of head space too, because you don't have to like pull all of your pans out at once and pull one out, and you know, it's just like if you're stacking them or nesting them, it's so much of a hassle. So I highly recommend checking these out, and hopefully they'll work for your space because I think they are such a space saver. And what's great also is that they kind of shove back into the back of the cabinet. So oftentimes there's also space in front of them, which I'm using to store other things. So it's kind of like doubling my storage in the same cabinet, which is awesome. Tip number three is if you are limited on drawer space like I am, instead of trying to find a place for your pot holders, use hooks that live inside the cabinets. I've never done this before, but it is so great. I basically just have a cupboard that is right next to my stove. I put one of those really cheap like little plastic hooks that you get at CVS or whatever, and I just hang my pot holders there. It saves space. They're away, which helps keep the kitchen clean and organized, and I can fit 3 on one hook, and I obviously have 2 cabinets, so if you had more than 3, you could use both sides of the cabinets. So I definitely recommend those for pot holders and other things you might be hanging, maybe a dish towel or something like that. Number 4 is to use over-the-cabinet organizers, and this is really great for cleaning supplies. We're using it for like our dish soap and our brush that goes with our sink to wash our dishes. We also use it for like sanitizing wipes, but they also sell over the cabinet spice organizers. So if you do currently not have like a spice organizer situation, then these could be a really great option because they just go over the cabinet door, you open it, and all of your spices are organized. So there are opportunities for you to save some space and use that for storage. Tip number 5 is to use Lazy Susans. I am a huge Lazy Susan convert. I have 6 of them in my kitchen right now. And I think that they not only save space, but they also are just so functional. So we're using them in our oil and vinegar cabinet / spice cabinet, which is kind of a high up cabinet that I have to reach to. And what's really great about them is that I can just spin them to get what I need. So I use them for oils, vinegars, and spices. And then they're also amazing for corner cabinets. If you have any corner cabinets in your kitchen right now, then you know they can be just like a black hole of whatever you put in there. Like things just get shoved to the back. You have no idea what's in there. And I think Lazy Susans are just such a great way to stay organized. So basically what I do in my pantry is I have a Lazy Susan on every shelf, and I just kind of have them to rotate through my pantry goods. So one shelf is for smoothies, one shelf is for dry goods, and then the top shelf is for just like overflow stuff. And then they also leave usually space on both sides of the cabinet. So if you have the space, you could do like little bins like we have on our bottom shelf, or you can just use them to kind of stack like bigger things. Number 6 is to stack / nest your Tupperware and your mixing bowls and other bowls like that. Nesting can really help you save space. You're basically just stacking as much as you can. It's definitely a pain to reach them and kind of get them out because you often have to pull them all out to get the right size, but it will save on space. Number 7 is to organize your drawers. A lot of us obviously have a drawer for utensils, and those are really easy to organize with like just a utensil organizer. But if you have other drawers, whether it's for like cooking utensils or knives or whatever like that, still organize those as well. Instead of just throwing everything into a drawer, definitely recommend trying to keep them as organized as possible. There are so many different organization options for your drawers. We have a really great shallow knife storage thing that I will link below. It is so great. And then we also have in this new kitchen just bamboo dividers, which kind of help us segment the space and helps things just stay a little bit more organized. Number 8 is to use your oven if you have to. And I don't know if you've ever watched Sex and the City and so how she uses her sweater. She uses her oven as her like sweater overflow thing. I don't recommend that, but if you don't have space for things like large baking trays, muffin tins, things like that, put them in your oven. It's really easy to just take them out of your oven if you need to bake something, and it puts them away. A lot of times the oven is just empty anyways, so just throw them in there. And if you even have like a bottom shelf or an under the oven drawer like I did at my other apartment, they all just lived in there, and it was a great way to just like throw them in, and I didn't even have to think about where to store them. Number 9 is to use the top of your fridge. So don't forget about that large space above your fridge. Sometimes they have cabinets. Our current kitchen does have cabinets, but even if they don't, that is a giant opportunity for you to have storage space. So what I recommend are these basket things that I have. They are so great. And I basically just have one basket for one thing, one basket for another thing. And we've had this system in both of our last 2 apartments, and it works phenomenally. Number 10 is to get rid of your plastic bags that your pantry items come in. I would say probably keep your plastic bags for like chips and crackers maybe, because it helps to keep them fresh, but things like nuts, seeds, beans, any other like little pantry staples that come in like resealable plastic bags, which at this point is a lot, I recommend that you transfer them into containers, because not only are the bags easily disorganized, like it's so easy to just lose those things, but you can also buy containers that kind of fit together into a system inside of your cabinets. So I would recommend measuring your cupboard space and then figuring out what kind of containers would work. Sometimes you have to like stack containers, or other times they'll fit together in certain ways. It's basically like putting together a puzzle for your pantry. But using containers instead of just using those plastic bags is really going to help you maximize the space in your cupboards. It's going to help keep things really organized, which is like so mentally just so much better, and also just like relieves a lot of pain points if you're trying to find stuff. Number 11 is to condense your products when you can. And the reason I added this tip on here is because I'm a really big tea drinker and I tend to accumulate a lot of different types of tea, and tea often comes in boxes. So what do I do with these boxes? My tea boxes used to be just like stacked into a cupboard. They were so disorganized. They took up so much space. And so when I worked with Jamie the first time in our kitchen in the last apartment, she recommended that I buy a tea organizer. And I was like, what is that? And it's basically just a plastic container that I can put all of my different tea bags in. And it has saved so much space. I basically can fit 6 boxes, if not 8 boxes of tea into one little container. And I have 4 of those containers. So I am, like I said, a tea hoarder. And I just think that it is like absolutely genius. So I will link the ones that I have down below, and basically use this rule of thumb for things that tend to be taking up a lot of space in your cupboards. So if you do have any specific things that you're struggling with in this arena, then drop a comment down below and I or Jamie will come back and comment and give you some ideas about how you can better organize those and condense them. And then our last tip is if you have very, very, very minimal space in your kitchen and you really don't have space for a pantry, like I'm lucky to have that corner cabinet that acts as our pantry, I recommend building a makeshift pantry. It doesn't necessarily have to live in your kitchen, and there are so many options now for building a quote unquote makeshift pantry. I recommend honestly just buying like a shelving unit, and if it doesn't have to live in your kitchen, then that's okay. It can live in your living room, or it can live in the hallway or something like that. Just kind of think about the space where you are going to have it live. So if it does live in the living room or it does live in the hallway, you might want to not have open shelving just because that can tend to get disorganized. So you could get maybe baskets for them to keep different things in, and you can kind of make it more of like a piece of furniture almost. If you have space in your kitchen or you have an open wall that you could put a shelving unit, then I would recommend absolutely doing that, because that will really help you get even more space out of your current space. So that basically does it for my 12 small kitchen organization ideas. I hope you found this video helpful. Like I said in 2 points ago, if you have any specific areas of frustration for you with your small kitchen, or you just feel at a loss with a certain thing that you're struggling with, let me know in the comments. And like I said, I'll have Jamie come over and answer some of the questions as well. I do have a blog post that goes along with this, and it shares more about each of these tips. All of the products that I've mentioned will be linked down below. And I also want to link my pantry organization video as well as my pantry organization blog post for you down below as well, because those actually walk through the method that Hoarderly uses to organize a space. So I hope you find those helpful. And as I said in the beginning, if you're interested in chatting with Hoarderly about your space, cannot recommend them enough. They have done a ton of stuff in this apartment, and I'm going to share each and every one of them with you. We're starting with the kitchen because I know that's what you guys are really interested in. But if you have any questions for them, or you want to talk about organizing a space in your home, their contact information is below, and they are currently doing virtual organizing. Since we're all in quarantine right now, they're doing the virtual organizing services where they can just kind of talk to you virtually. So you can be anywhere in the world and get organization tips. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy it. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Don't forget to subscribe by clicking the red button that is right below this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.